My name is Nancy Hernandez, and joining me today is Matt Geiger. Thank you, Matt, for being with us today and sharing your memories.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience organizing the political forum, because for a young person, you did something really amazing and put together the forum of our town candidates for the recent election. Can you talk a little bit about what got you involved and how you organized that?
Sure. So at the start of the election during the nominating period, I had created a Facebook group called the Mount Airy Election Forum in hopes that I could have candidates and citizens ask questions and interact with one another. After I had created that, I had heard that there wasn't going to be a regularly scheduled forum as the CMC usually puts on. So what I decided to do was just organize one myself. And I had gotten in contact with all the candidates, and I hoped to kind of create this new format and not only just create a new format, but to also broadcast it in a much different way. Typically, the usual forums are broadcasted on Channel 19 and sometimes I think 23, and then they're also put onto the CMC's website. What I wanted to do was hopefully do a live stream to Facebook and not have a live audience. So it would decrease the amount of, because I only had like a week until the election, so I decided to make this as easy and as streamlined as possible to just have no live audience except for on Facebook, where the audience members that are on Facebook could ask questions. So it was this new age kind of style that I was putting together, and I incorporated what I had learned because I had participated in previous programs for the American Legion about politics and civics. So I had incorporated what I learned from the American Legion as well as just watching previous election debates and forums, and kind of made this hybrid composite style of debate, if you will.
That's excellent. It was very ambitious, and you did a fabulous job.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So how did you get interested in politics here in Mount Airy?
Well, I started with my interest in 2017 during the first, or not during the first, but during the mayoral/town council election. Before then, there was a huge issue, if you remember, back with like the ATF, and there was someone that was trying to sell firearms out of their home. I had taken an interest in that issue, and I had gone to town council meetings and listened and spoke, and just kind of my interest in the town politics after that increased significantly because I had been involved in previous town hall meetings and whatnot and kind of learned the process. So I got involved with a candidate and kind of rode along with him and got to experience the campaign and how it worked. I got to interact with citizens and go to the I didn't get to vote obviously, but I got to go to the polls and to talk with voters, and it was just a phenomenal experience to kind of have an interest and get involved in town politics. And from there, I watched from the sidelines. I watched the forum throughout the special election earlier in 2018. And then with this election, I decided to take a much more neutral and nonpartisan stance and to hopefully increase voter turnout, because I'd been involved with the past two election cycles and I wanted to see if I could give back to the community before I went off to college.
That's great.
Thank you.
Excellent. So what were your, what's your perspective, or what insight can you offer us into what small town local politics are like? What observations did you?
Sure. I can only attest to Mount Airy, but what I can tell you is that I think that people always underestimate town politics. I'm someone that has been involved in politics just in general since 7th or 8th grade, but my interests began at a national level, studying the different candidates for president, because I started taking interest during the 2016 presidential election, an interest in the Senate candidates, interest in the gubernatorial candidates, but I never ever had thought that I would be involved at the local level. But what I had learned is that the town council members, the mayor, and everybody that works in town hall has a much more significant impact on your daily life than someone that is in the White House or in Annapolis. So I would like to tell everybody that what happens in town hall is not just the issue of 5 council members and the mayor, it's the issue of all 10,000 residents of this town. And that if you go to town hall meetings, you'll learn much more than you think about what's going on in our town. And our town runs extremely well. I'm lucky to say that we have a very functional town. There are a lot of municipalities that are a lot more dysfunctional than Mount Airy. So Mount Airy is well run, but with every town and with every political system, there are its issues. And if citizens are active, they can have a much greater impact than even the council members themselves. So people don't think they can make much of an impact in their daily lives, but if you get involved at the local level, just speaking at town hall meetings, getting to know your council members and your mayor, you'll have a very, very far-reaching impact in the town and in your life.
That's great. I agree. The
Thank
more
you.
people that are involved locally, the better our communities exist for now and in the future. Well, tell us a little bit about, as a youth here in town, what are some of the things that you all do for fun? What what do you feel is lacking? What changes have you seen in the years that you've lived here? I think you said you moved here when you were 13?
I moved here in 2006. So
Okay.
I've been here for the past 13 years, since I was about 5 years old.
Okay, so tell about growing up in Mount Airy and what changes that you've seen in your lifetime.
Well, back in my day, beginning way back when in 2006, the town was a lot different. I don't obviously have too many cognizant memories of town politics at that time. I wasn't running for
Right.
office in 2006.
I mean, as a child.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just kidding with you. Throughout my experience growing up in Mount Airy, there is like there was a meme on like Twitter or something that was like what people in small towns do for fun, and it's just like drive around, drive around, drive around, drive around. Obviously, our budget is limited because we have such a small tax base. So I don't expect there to be massive community centers and recreation centers and these massive complexes for youth, which is perfectly okay. So a lot of my youth has been spent just kind of exploring the nature and wilderness around town and in town too. I think Mount Airy. I think this is the thing that a lot of people miss with the youth. Whether it's a council member or a mayor or someone that's politically active in the town, they usually the default is that in order to get the youth in a safe and recreational environment, you have to create a center for such. And I'm glad that rail trails exist because I think it's super important, but I think it's even more important for the youth than it is for just a normal adult. Creating and cultivating the nature in this town would allow for all of the youth to have a much more productive and, quite frankly, just more enjoyable time growing up. I was in the woods all the time, looking around, exploring, going in the creeks and the rivers, and this town is beautiful. And the area around it is absolutely magnificent. The rolling hills and the farms and the streams and everything. I think that kids take up and they look through those and they explore and they learn a lot about themselves and their friends and the nature around them. So it doesn't need to be a basketball court. It doesn't need to be a football field. It can just be a trail through the forest. And I think a lot of kids would appreciate that significantly.
Now, you grew up in Nottingham.
Yes.
So there were a lot of woods around your community on the side, and that's where the creeks and streams
Yes.
were too? Okay, I didn't realize that either. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, and tell a little bit about school experiences, like the schools that you've
Yeah.
attended and what those were like.
Sure. So the most interesting thing I like to say is that if you are in Pars Ridge, because I started in Pars Ridge obviously in kindergarten, and I went through K through 2, and then a weird kind of shock is when you go into Mount Airy Elementary School, because the schools are they're not run differently, but they're different buildings by far. I'd always have a stuffy nose whenever I was at Mount Airy Elementary, because I guess there was just an old building, so it got the dust and everything. But I really enjoyed the schools here in Mount Airy. The middle school, the elementary school, Pars Ridge. I think they're well run. It's nice because like not everybody gets to experience this. You don't when people in like a big city or a big town, they go to school and there's like 14 different elementary schools and 15 different middle schools. It was just nice because I would go on a 2-minute bus ride to Pars Ridge or Mount Airy Elementary or the middle school, and I'd come home, I get off the bus, and all my friends are right there. No one is too far away. Everybody's a 5-minute drive away or a 2-minute walk away, and it's nice because this community becomes so much stronger when its youth are always surrounded with one another. There's no great divide between rich and poor, and if you live in Summit Ridge, you're no different than someone in Nottingham, or if you live on Main Street, you're no different than someone that lives in Twin Arch. Everybody is connected in some way, shape, or form. The only divide, however, I would say, is the Frederick County line, and it does make it kind of difficult because if you're going to school at I think it's Twin Arch Elementary or Middle, and you're going Twin Ridge, sorry, and Linganore. There is a little bit of a divide there because it's kind of hard to get to know someone when you don't have social media at such a young age and everything like that. But other than that, going to school was great because I was surrounded by my friends the entire time, and I'd see them at night, in the mornings, during the school day. Everybody's connected in one way, shape, or form throughout the entire day.
Yeah, that is what you point out about the line. My daughter had a friend that lived on the Carroll County side, and went to school with her, and then she moved across the street and ended up going to Linganore.
Yeah, I've had more friends in the Carroll County side than the Frederick County one.
Now, you were probably in the last class that started school at Mount Airy, the old Mount Airy Middle.
Yeah.
So tell a little bit about the difference of going to that school and going to the new Mount Airy Middle.
Oh goodness. So you're right. I was the last 6th grader group to go and be in those portables that were outside the old middle school. And that was an experience. If I ever write a book about my life, that's going to be like a whole chapter. Is like the Mount Airy Middle School portables. We had several incidences, and I'm glad there's a new school. I'll never forget walking from my like normal academic classes, your math, your English, your social studies, your science, to like my electives, which were like your music, your band, stuff like that. Walking in pouring down rain, in a blizzard, in a tornado. You're walking from your portables to your middle school, and it's like not that long of a walk. It's like a 2-minute walk, but it's just like if it's raining, you're running as fast as you can. And then there was one time where this is actually where it pays off. There was one time where like the power went out completely. You might actually remember this. And because the middle school itself, like the physical building was so old, it didn't have a powerful enough generator to generate electricity throughout the whole building. So just the emergency lights were on. So basically, Mount Airy Middle School was dark. It was so dark. And then our portables were just okay because we had generators because they were new. So that was the one time I was really, really happy that I was in the portables. Another incident, which is a little grosser, is that someone had like backed up the sewage system and so the whole portable smelled for like a week. And so that was not as fun. It's very difficult to take a test when you have to hold your nose the entire time. But overall, it's just nice. I don't know. So many people complained about it, and I'm sure like looking back, it's definitely like a nice nostalgic factor because sometimes going through those just crazy and wild and wet experiences, it makes you a stronger person, but it makes you happy because like you're not coddled, you're not like held super tightly. It's just you get to live life, and it's just fun because we're kids and it doesn't really bother us too much.
It makes good stories.
Yes, it does. It makes great conversation later down the road.
So then how was it different going to the new one?
The new middle school.
Yeah.
The new middle school is beautiful. I remember going to meetings with my dad when they were like planning it out and stuff like that, and listening about how the new middle school was going to be created. And I took pictures of when right before the new middle school opened. I took pictures of the new middle school, and we like turned around to our like left, and there was all the rubble, and we took pictures of that. I still have it somewhere in my computer. But the new middle school was great because it was like everything that we didn't have, we now had. Like a functional basketball court that didn't creak every single time that you walked on it, or you didn't have to walk up like a fire escape to get to the basketball court. That was great. It was nice. It was nice. I really enjoyed it. It was obviously a little different because it felt like really new, and we felt like really special because we had this new school. And it was interesting because a lot of the teachers had like never seen some of this equipment before, so we were trying to like break it in. So there were times where like the safety shower and the science room would go off and everybody would get drenched, or we wouldn't know how to turn the lights on and off because there were sensor lights. And we had teachers that had been in the middle school for like 40 years, and they were like, I don't know how to use these lights, and they're like hitting the button and the lights are going on and off. So that was also fun because no one had any idea what we were doing. And I'm sure that now it's obviously a little more like standard protocol and procedure is going just fine. But it was nice to be a part of a group of people that I could break in that new school. I could kind of like, loosen it up. It's like a new baseball glove. You can kind of break it in so it's nice and easy to use.
Yeah, and you're amongst the rare few that went to both.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to do both.
Now, after you graduated from the middle school, then you have to make the trek
Yes.
to South Carroll. So tell a little bit about what the roads are like when you're trying to get from Mount Airy to your...
We got to start with the airport. So first I get on the plane and I fly across the county to South Carroll. That's really interesting. It's weird because I had friends who went to Mount Airy Middle School and they would complain about the long drive they have from Winfield. And I was like, you guys have it easy. No, but it's no big deal. It can't be that bad. First day of school, I'm driving like 3 hours to South Carroll High School. It was a different experience because my entire life up to that point, I was no more than like a 5-10 minute bus ride away from my school. And if I really wanted to, I probably could like walk and take an hour to get to school. But at South Carroll, I mean, you're getting up at like 5:45. You take the bus at 6:40, and you're at school at 7:10, and you're sitting there for another 20 minutes waiting for classes to start. So it definitely was a drag, at least in the bus department for the first couple of years. We had a really good bus driver, though, Mr. Tom. He'd always play country music, and we'd always talk to him. Super nice guy. I love him. I hope he's still there. When you start driving, though, the experience does get a little bit better when you're driving to school, because then you can like get up, and sometimes I'm guilty of this too. I'm sure all my senior friends out there are guilty of this as well. Getting up too late and coming to school just as the bell's ringing and running through the hallways trying to get to class on time. I'm guilty of that for sure. South Carroll is interesting because it's the first time where you're not going to school with everybody that lives in your neighborhood, and that's it. You know, it's the first time where you have people from New Windsor and Winfield. I mean, Winfield is a part of Mount Airy Middle, but it still doesn't feel as far away as it does when you're in South Carroll. But South Carroll is fantastic because it was the first place where I felt like I was very outspoken at South Carroll, just like I'm really involved in town politics here. You can say I was involved in South Carroll politics, if you will. So I was really involved with the administration and helping to get things done and helping improve my school. And South Carroll was a very interesting outlet for all of that. I had a really, I would say at times it was very frustrating, but at the end of the day, it was a really rewarding and fulfilling experience to be at South Carroll because it's just a unique experience. A lot of kids, because I run a company that has kids from all over the world, and a lot of kids are only a 10-minute bus ride away from their high school like they are with their middle school or elementary school. But being so far away from that school and having such a large variety of people that go there, it makes it really interesting because you get like a little sub-demographic of Carroll County with all the different people from all these different backgrounds, and it's nice.
Great. Good answer.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your business.
My business? Okay. Yeah. Oh, God. Self-promotion here. So I run a news and media company called 71 Republic. I'm the co-founder of such. I founded it 2 years ago. It'll turn 2 on June 10th. The company specializes in, like I said, news and media. We cover national politics, global politics. Sometimes we do more local events. Like I did a story about last year during the walkouts at my high school. I covered a story there. But for the most part, I mean, there are kids from Austin, Texas. There are kids from Green Bay, Wisconsin. There are kids from Warsaw, Poland, from Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's just a global entity. We have cover 4 continents, I think 7 countries, and like 20 U.S. states. So we have that, and that's interesting too. But the thing about that, and I want to just relate this back to South Carroll for just a second. I talk to kids that go to school in Poland and in Brazil and in Texas, and it's like you would think that it's like a weird culture shock and experience to talk to those kids, but at the same time, it's kind of like when I go to South Carroll, because South Carroll is there are a few places in this country where like a school district has their schools broken up to cover such a large group of and diverse amount of people, and like at South Carroll, like you really get people from all walks of life. So I wasn't really too shocked when I was hearing. I mean, obviously experiences are different based on geographic location, but like I don't know. I mean, South Carroll does have its like own little mini America in that little corridor of Carroll County. But my business does a lot of news and media. We've covered tons of events. We've interviewed people. We've been shared by as far right, as far left as you can imagine. We've been cited by CNN, cited by Breitbart. We've been shared by Andrew Yang, shared by Glenn Beck. So we really cover that spectrum and hope to be like a nonpartisan entity and restore objectivity to media, but also provide alternative opinion in our editorials.
That's great. Good luck with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Now I'm going to ask you a few more questions about life in Mount Airy.
Sure. And real quickly, I want to say 71republic.com if you want to go check it out. It's just the number 71 in Republic.
That's very industrious.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. Some of these. Tell us about the places that you and your friends like to eat here in town.
Like to eat. See, this is the good part of the interview because I know everything about that. So my friends and I, we like wings. Like wings are it, man. Like we will go, like I think we hung out with my friends like a couple weeks ago and we had like 110 wings for the whole group of us, like all 7 of us. We like wings. And so Green Turtle is a really good place to go. It has everything, right? And I personally recommend if you ever go to Green Turtle, buffalo chicken pizza. Buffalo chicken pizza is so good. I'm getting on a tangent. See, like I like food so much. But wings are fantastic. They have like special deal nights, I think, for wings at Green Turtle. Within Mount Airy, I've gotten breakfast at Old Town. That's like that's a fan favorite. Crying Johnny's for hot dogs. I go there every once in a while. That's really good. California Tortilla, also a very popular location as well. So is Chick-fil-A. Not Chick-fil-A, sorry, Chipotle.
We wish we had a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I know. Chick-fil-A and Eldersburg is where some of us do go. And then another really popular one that I don't think a lot of people know is Quickfire. A lot of people go to Quickfire. I think your daughter probably goes there every once in a while. Like a lot of kids from South Carroll go to Quickfire. It's right next to, I think, Chipotle. Yeah, and it's just, out of all the places, I never thought that would be like really popular, but it is, the hibachi grill. So Quickfire is a really big one too.
And one of your classmates, their family owns it.
Yes, I know. It's such a small world. And the only other place that I usually go is in Urbana, and that's the Buffalo Wild Wings there. Because they have 65-cent wing night, and that's just like, you can go crazy.
Cool. All right, let's see. To finish our interview, why don't you tell me about some of the fun events that you've attended and like a favorite experience or memorable experience here in town?
Sure. So My favorite experience is by far the fair. Either one of the two. All the kids go to that. I remember riding the rides. I was super scared of the super shot, and I remember going on that, and I felt like I was just like I couldn't. I think I passed out on it. It was crazy, but that is definitely a big fan favorite. And amongst the kids is going to that fair. I always recommend the deep fried Oreos. Those are really popular. I always get those, and my most fondest memory I think from the fair is I was playing like the little roulette wheel that you can like bet quarters on for like 3 hours, and I kept losing, but I kept going. I'm from Vegas, so I was born there, and so I have a little bit of gambling passion deep in my heart. So that's definitely my favorite thing to do at the fair is to play a little roulette wheel and put quarters down on it.
Well, thank you, Matt, for taking the time to talk with us. We really appreciate it, and good luck with your business endeavors and at college, and you'll probably see you in politics someday.
Well, we'll see. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated the opportunity.